Hello, everyone. When the news first broke, silence fell across countless living rooms, Bible study groups, and online communities, because no one ever truly expected that the whispers and shadows trailing Pastor Steve Lawson's name would one day be confirmed by the man himself. And in that single moment of honesty, the hearts of thousands who had admired him cracked wide open with grief, disappointment, and disbelief. For Steve Lawson had long been considered one of the most steadfast voices in modern Christianity, a defender of truth in an age of compromise, a man whose fiery sermons on God's sovereignty could stir the coldest of hearts. And yet, here he was, standing before his followers, not as the unshakable pillar they thought they knew, but as a man stripped of his armor, acknowledging that the very rumors which had haunted his ministry were not baseless fabrications, but painful realities he could no longer deny. For years, Lawson's life was marked by discipline and focus. He studied the Bible with an intensity that set him apart. He built a reputation as one of the most gifted expositors of Scripture in modern times. His conferences drew thousands. His books sold across the world. His preaching was broadcast into homes where people found guidance and strength. But behind the pulpit charisma, something darker was stirring. Congregants began to notice cracks, moments where he seemed more exhausted than inspired, moments where tensions with elders and ministry partners boiled just beneath the surface, moments where his sharp words cut not only against sin, but also against colleagues and friends. Rumors of broken relationships, of personal battles, of disagreements with other prominent pastors and leaders began to spread, and while some dismissed them as jealousy or baseless gossip, others sensed that something real lay beneath the smoke. The loyalty of his followers was fierce. Many defended him, saying great men of God are always attacked, that critics will always try to tear down someone who stands firmly on the truth. But in private conversations, questions multiplied. Was Lawson burning out? Was he hiding struggles that he could not bring into the light? Was the public image of certainty and conviction masking a private world of loneliness, conflict, and fatigue? For years he stayed silent, carrying the burden alone, until the silence itself became too heavy to bear. And now his decision to finally confirm what so many had whispered has left his fans heartbroken. He admitted openly that yes, the weight of ministry sometimes crushed him. Yes, his family and personal life bore scars from his relentless schedule and unyielding commitment to preaching. Yes, there were moments of arrogance where pride in his gifting made him hard to work with. Yes, some of the strained friendships and ruptured partnerships people spoke of were true. And yes, the image of him as untouchable was never the full story. That kind of candor pierced the hearts of his followers, because to hear from his own lips that the rumors were not just attacks, but fragments of truth meant acknowledging that their hero was human, that the man they had elevated on a pedestal was not above the same flaws and failings that plague everyone else. Social media erupted immediately, some expressing devastation, others expressing empathy, and still others using his confession to mock the church at large, arguing that yet another spiritual leader has proven himself incapable of living up to the words he so passionately preached. Within the church world, the conversation deepened. Some argued that Lawson's admission was a courageous step toward authenticity, a chance to show that pastors are not immune from struggle and should be seen as men before they are seen as ministers, while others argued that confirming the rumors without offering solutions was a failure of leadership, leaving his followers with broken trust and unanswered questions. His family, too, has been thrust into the spotlight, because when a pastor confesses the weight of rumor and reality, it is not only his reputation that bears the blow, but also the private lives of those closest to him, his children, his wife, his inner circle of friends, all of whom now must navigate a world where every whisper feels heavier, every stare feels sharper, and every prayer feels more desperate. The tragedy in this confession is not that Lawson is a failure, because his ministry has touched countless lives, and his preaching remains powerful, but that it reminds us all of the danger of creating celebrity pastors, men placed so high on pedestals that, when they stumble, the fall crushes not just them, but everyone. For decades, he has spoken of the sovereignty of God, the authority of Scripture, the beauty of Christ, and none of that is erased by this moment of painful honesty. But for his fans, reconciling the man of the pulpit with the man behind the rumors is a heart-wrenching journey. Many are asking themselves, how do we continue to receive from someone whose flaws now seem larger than life? How do we separate the message from the messenger? And how do we heal when our spiritual heroes confess that they are not what we thought they were? Lawson himself seems to understand the weight of this heartbreak, because in confirming the rumors, he did not speak with pride but with humility, admitting that the hardest part was not losing reputation but knowing he had disappointed the very people who trusted him most. The confession was a kind of liberation, lifting the veil and allowing him to live in truth. But it was also a kind of crucifixion, because the very honesty that set him free has nailed his image to the cross of public scrutiny. Fans are heartbroken, not only because of what was admitted, but also because of what it means, that their faith in men must always be fragile, that even the strongest leaders can falter, and that in the end, no one is exempt from the brokenness of the human heart. Yet, in that heartbreak, there is also a strange kind of hope, because perhaps Steve Lawson's confession will teach a new generation of believers that pastors are not gods, they are guides, that they should be prayed for, not worshipped, supported, not idolized, and that the ultimate anchor of faith is not in the preacher, but in the God they point toward. Still, the sadness lingers, the disappointment is real, and the community that once stood unshakable around him is now left picking up the pieces of trust, deciding whether to walk away in disillusionment or to stay and believe that even broken vessels can still pour out truth. Thanks for watching.